The first time Ethan Harris met the alien woman named Kyla, he had no idea how much she would change his understanding of both their species. The space station Horizon orbited Earth as a neutral zone where 7 alien races came to establish diplomatic and trade relations with humanity. Ethan worked as a cultural liaison specializing in nonverbal communication, which made him valuable when translation devices failed or cultural nuances got lost. His scar never bothered him much anymore. The mining accident on Mars 3 years ago had left the jagged line running from his right temple down to his jaw. Some of his colleagues had suggested reconstructive surgery, but Ethan declined. Something about erasing the mark felt dishonest to him, though. He never quite articulated why Kyla arrived with the third delegation of Xeraxians, tall, blue-skinned beings with 6 eyes arranged in 2 vertical rows on their faces. Their 3-fingered hands moved with surprising grace as they communicated. In their musical language, Ethan noticed Kyla immediately. She stood taller than the others, her blue skin bearing intricate patterns of raised dots and lines that he assumed were natural features of her species. When the formal introductions ended, Ethan approached her to explain his role. "Your translator seems functional, but please alert me if you have difficulty understanding our expressions or gestures," he said. "Our species communicate very differently." Kyla turned all 6 eyes toward him. The eyes started black at the center, fading to silver at the edges. They widened suddenly when they focused on his face. "Fascinating," she said, her translator converting her musical tones to English. "You bear a survival mark openly." Ethan touched his scar self-consciously. It was just an accident. Nothing special. She stepped closer, her head tilting in that particular Xeraxian way that humans had learned indicated intense interest. "On my world, such marks tell the story of a life they show. Survival. They give status." That caught Ethan by surprise. "You mean scars are good things where you come from?" Kyla reached forward with her 3-fingered hand, then stopped herself. "I apologize." "Is it permitted to touch?" Ethan nodded, curious about her intense reaction. Most aliens avoided physical contact with humans. Her fingers traced the raised tissue with surprising gentleness. "You survived great damage," she whispered. The translating device at her throat flickered with blue light. "Yet you seem to diminish its significance. Why, it was just an equipment malfunction. Nothing heroic," Ethan explained. "Some humans might even consider it ugly." All 6 eyes blinked in unison. "On my world, to hide such a mark would show shame or dishonor. The greater the survival, the more honored the mark." She gestured to the patterns across her own blue skin, which Ethan had assumed were natural features. All Xeraxians bear the story of their greatest survivals, their moments of strength. Ethan looked closer at the patterns on her skin, now seeing them as intentional rather than random. "So those are all scars. Deliberate ones." "Some, yes," Kyla said. "Others earned through trials, some through accidents like yours." Her fingers touched her own face, where a pattern of circular marks created a symmetrical design across her cheekbones. "This one shows I survived the great storm of our southern continent when many did not. It marks me as resilient. This gives me status." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Commander Diana Bell, who ran the cultural exchange program. "Ethan, I see you've met our distinguished visitor." Diana said. She turned to Kyla. "We hope your stay on Horizon will be productive." Kyla performed the formal Xeraxian greeting, a complex movement of her 3-fingered hands. "Commander, your station honors us with its hospitality. I have already discovered fascinating cultural differences." She gestured toward Ethan's face. "This human bears a significant survival mark, yet seems to place no value on it." Most curious, Diana looked confused for a moment, then understanding dawned. "Oh, you mean his scar?" "Yes," Kyla said. "On our world, such marks tell important stories. They are honored, not hidden." Diana seemed intrigued. "Actually, Kyla, we have a cultural exchange presentation scheduled for tomorrow. Would you be willing to share more about this aspect of Xeraxian culture? It might help us understand each other better." Kyla agreed enthusiastically, and Ethan found himself volunteered to participate. as well. When they parted ways, Ethan spent the evening researching Xeraxian cultural attitudes toward physical appearances. The information in the database was limited, but confirmed what Kyla had told him. Their species viewed the body as a living record of experience. Deliberately unmarked skin suggested either youth or a life without challenges, neither considered desirable. The next day, a small crowd gathered in the Cultural Exchange Center. Humans from various departments sat alongside, representatives from 3 alien species, all curious about Xeraxian customs. Kyla stood at the front with Ethan beside her. "Among your kind," she began. "What do you call these marks of survival scars?" Ethan supplied. "They can be from injuries, surgeries, or accidents. And how do most humans view them?" Ethan considered his response carefully. Most humans see them as flaws, imperfections. Many try to minimize or hide them with clothing, makeup, or surgery. A murmur went through the alien contingent. Kyla nodded. "This fundamental difference fascinates me." She gestured to her own body. "These patterns across my skin tell the story of my life. Those who see me know immediately that I survived. The great storm lost my parental unit to predators and endured the rite of leadership. Some marks are earned through rituals of passage, others through survival of accidents or illness. Each has meaning." She approached Ethan, gesturing to his face. "This mark tells me this human has faced danger and survived, yet he considers it insignificant. This shows how differently our species view the physical record of experience." A human scientist in the audience raised her hand. "But isn't it painful to acquire these marks?" Kyla tilted her head. "Yes. Pain is part of the experience. Pain teaches. Pain transforms. When the pain ends, we are changed. The mark remains to remind us of our strength." Olivia Martinez, a security officer who had remained quiet, spoke up. "I have many scars," she said, rolling up her sleeve to reveal several healed wounds. "Some I am proud of. They remind me of times I protected others, but some remind me of failures or losses. We have complex relationships with our physical histories." Kyla seemed pleased but puzzled. "Still, most humans hide their survival stories." Why a cultural anthropologist named Kelly Wright stood up. "In some Earth cultures, scars are celebrated," she explained, showing a ritualistic scarification pattern on her shoulder. "My grandmother came from a people where these told our family story." She looked at Ethan. "Our perspectives aren't so different from the Xeraxians. Sometimes we just forgot." The discussion continued for hours, with humans and aliens sharing perspectives on how bodies tell stories. By the end, Ethan saw his scar differently, no longer as just the result of an accident but as a mark of survival. Something he had endured and overcome as the event concluded. Kyla approached him again. "I would like to learn more about how humans tell their stories, if not through body markings," she said. "Would you show me?" Ethan smiled. "Of course, we have many ways. Books, art, music, photographs." He touched his scar. "And sometimes we do tell stories with our bodies too. We just haven't always seen it that way." Kyla made a trilling sound that her translator did not convert, but Ethan recognized as Xeraxian laughter. "Perhaps our species have more to learn from each other than we realized," she said. "I look forward to understanding how humans record their histories." As they walked toward the station's cultural archive, Ethan realized that his perspective had shifted. Something as simple as a scar had opened a doorway between worlds, between ways of seeing, and he wondered what other fundamental assumptions might change as humans and Xeraxians continued to learn from each other. In the days that followed their initial meeting, Ethan found himself spending most of his free time with Kyla. The Xeraxian cultural liaison had an insatiable curiosity about human customs, particularly how humans preserved memories and experiences without physical markings. They sat in the observation deck of Horizon Station, watching Earth rotate slowly below them. "It's beautiful," Kyla said, her 6 eyes reflecting the blue and green planet. "Our world has 3 moons but no oceans like yours." Ethan nodded, admiring how the light played across her patterned blue skin. He had learned to read some of her markings now, understanding that the spiral patterns along her arms indicated she had completed advanced academic training, while the diamond shapes across her shoulders showed her status as a diplomatic representative. "I still don't understand why humans hide their histories," Kyla said, returning to what had become a favorite topic. "Why cover the evidence of your survival?" Ethan considered her question. "It's complicated," he finally said. "For many humans, scars remind us of pain. We want to forget." Kyla tilted her head in that distinctly Xeraxian way. "Does forgetting the pain also mean forgetting the strength that came after?" The question struck Ethan deeply. He touched his own scar thoughtfully. "I never considered it that way." Their conversation was interrupted by an alert on Ethan's communication device. Commander Diana Bell requested his presence at a meeting with the Xeraxian delegation. "We should go," Ethan said, standing. "Maybe we'll learn more about why your people are really here." "The diplomatic reasons." Kyla rose gracefully, her nearly 7-foot height making her tower over him. The movement revealed new markings on her back that he hadn't noticed before. "What are those marks?" Ethan asked, pointing to the intricate pattern that resembled branching lightning. Kyla hesitated before answering. "Those show I survived something few of my kind have faced." She didn't elaborate further, and Ethan sensed this wasn't the time to press for details. The meeting room was already filled with representatives from both species. When they arrived, Diana Bell stood at the front, reviewing information on a holographic display. She looked up as they entered. "Good, you're both here. We have a situation that requires your expertise." The display changed to show a small asteroid approximately 2 kilometers in diameter. "It's on a collision course with Xeraxian colony outpost, Tela 7, Diana explained. "Normally their defense systems would destroy it, but they've experienced a critical failure." One of the Xeraxian elders, a heavily marked individual named Varric, spoke up. "Our engineers have been unable to restore the defense grid. The asteroid will impact in approximately 7 Earth days. The colony must be evacuated." Ethan glanced at Kyla and noticed her 6 eyes had widened with what he now recognized as distress. The markings on her skin seemed to pulse slightly, a physiological reaction he hadn't observed before. "How many colonists?" Kyla asked, her voice tight. "Nearly 3,000, Varric answered. Many are scientists and their families studying the unique magnetic properties of the planet. It would be a significant loss." Commander Bell nodded grimly. "We've already prepared an evacuation plan," she said. "The Earth vessel Northern Star is being diverted to assist. It's the fastest ship in the quadrant, but even at maximum speed it'll be close." Ethan studied the projected path of the asteroid and the location of the colony. Something doesn't add up, he thought aloud. How did this asteroid change course so dramatically? That's not a natural trajectory. The room fell silent as both humans and Xeraxians turned to look at him. Ethan pointed to the display. "Can we see the asteroid's path over the past month?" The holographic image shifted, showing the asteroid's previous trajectory. Ethan was right. It had made an impossible turn 3 days ago, veering directly toward the colony. "That can't be natural," Diana said. "There must be another explanation." "Varric." The Xeraxian elder made a low humming sound that the translator didn't convert. "It's possible the asteroid was deliberately redirected," he finally said. "Directed by whom?" Ethan asked. "No one has claimed responsibility," Varric said. "But there are those who oppose the alliance between our species. The Xeraxian purists believe contact with other species dilutes our cultural identity." Kyla stepped forward. "Those extremists are a small minority," she argued. "They lack the technology to redirect an asteroid." Perhaps, Diana suggested. "But we should investigate all possibilities. We need to form a team to examine the asteroid directly before it reaches the colony. Someone needs to determine if this was natural or deliberate, and if we can stop it." Going," Kyla said immediately. All 6 of her eyes focused with an intensity Ethan hadn't seen before. Diana looked surprised but nodded. "The Northern Star will take you. There isn't time for a full scientific team, but we need at least one human representative. "I'll go," Ethan volunteered. His background in mining operations might prove useful if they needed to alter the asteroid's course. Diana considered this briefly. "Very well," she agreed. "Make your preparations." The ship departs in 3 hours. As they left the meeting, Ethan noticed Kyla seemed unusually quiet. Her normally fluid movements appeared stiff and restrained. "Are you all right?" he asked when they were alone in the corridor. She stopped, walking her 6 eyes focusing on something distant. "Is there somewhere private?" "We can speak." Ethan led her to his quarters, a small but private space assigned to senior liaison officers. Once inside, Kyla seemed to deflate her tall form, sinking onto the edge of his bed. "The colony. Tella 7. She began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I was born there. My family still lives there. My marking siblings." Ethan sat beside her, beginning to understand her distress. Marking siblings were those like family, not by birth, she explained. Those who receive their first ritual markings together are bonded for life. My marking siblings and I underwent the rite of adulthood together. I haven't seen them in 7 cycles, but the bond remains. She touched the branching pattern on her back. "This marks our connection." Now Ethan understood her reaction in the meeting and her immediate volunteer. "We'll save them," he promised. "We'll find a way." Kyla turned all 6 eyes toward him. "Do you make this promise lightly human, or do you understand what it means to me?" Ethan touched his scar. "I understand that some marks go deeper than skin," he said quietly. "Some bonds can't be broken, not even by distance or time. If there's a way to save your people, we'll find it together." For the first time since he'd known her, Kyla initiated physical contact. Her 3-fingered hand covered his 5-fingered one. The difference in their anatomy somehow emphasized their connection rather than their alienness. "You understand more than most humans," she said. "Your scar marks more than just physical survival. It marks a change in perception. Doesn't it?" Ethan nodded. "Sometimes surviving changes how you see everything." They prepared quickly, gathering essential equipment and personal items. The Northern Star was a sleek vessel designed for speed rather than comfort. The human captain, Maya Wilson, greeted them at the airlock. "We're pushing the engines beyond recommended limits," she explained. "We're looking at just under 6 days travel time. That gives us less than 24 hours to examine the asteroid and determine a course of action." The ship detached from Horizon Station and accelerated rapidly toward the Xeraxian colony. While most of the crew focused on maintaining the dangerous speed, Ethan and Kyla reviewed what little information they had about the asteroid. Its composition is primarily nickel iron, with traces of rare minerals, Kyla noted. "But there are unusual energy readings that don't match any known natural formation." Ethan studied the readouts. "The trajectory change is too precise," he agreed. "It had to be deliberate. But how and why target a scientific outpost?" As the ship hurtled through space, Ethan noticed Kyla constantly checking the time display, counting down the hours until impact. She barely slept, her normal blue coloration becoming slightly paler with stress. On the 3rd day of their journey, Captain Wilson called them to the bridge. "We've received a transmission." She said it was directed specifically to this vessel. "Play it." Kyla requested, her voice tight with tension. A hooded figure appeared on the screen speaking Xeraxian, but the translator converted the words for Ethan. "We claim responsibility for redirecting asteroid KX-437 toward colony Tella 7. This is the first cleansing. Many more will follow until all Xeraxians return to the pure ways." The figure leaned closer. "Those who bear the marks of alien influence will be the first to fall." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. "They know we're coming," Ethan said. "Which means this isn't just about destroying the colony, it's a trap." Captain Maya Wilson immediately called an emergency meeting in the ship's conference room. The Northern Star continued its course toward the endangered colony, but now with heightened alert status. The crew consisted of 15 humans and 3 Xeraxians, including Kyla. All gathered around the oval table as the captain replayed the threatening message. "Those who bear the marks of alien influence," the hooded figure had said, "will be the first to fall." What does that mean exactly? Ethan asked, looking at Kyla. Marks of alien influence. Kyla touched the patterns on her skin, her 6 eyes darkening with concern. Among my people, there is a growing movement that opposes contact with other species, she explained. They believe our tradition of marking significant life experiences should remain pure. Some Xeraxians now incorporate symbols or patterns from other cultures into their ritual markings. My own include elements inspired by human art. She rolled up her sleeve, revealing an intricate pattern that indeed contained what looked like human mathematical symbols and artistic spirals. This marks my first diplomatic mission to Earth, she said. The circular elements represent your solar system. The connecting lines show the alliance between our worlds. Captain Wilson leaned forward, studying the markings. And the extremists consider this cultural contamination? Yes. Kyla confirmed. They believe our identity is being erased through contact with other species, especially humans, since our alliance has grown, strongest with your kind. And now they're willing to destroy an entire colony, Ethan said in disbelief. The colony at Tela 7 is known for its progressive views. Kyla explained. Many there have incorporated alien symbolism into their markings. It's seen as the center of what purists call cultural pollution. The ship's security chief, Elena Foster, spoke up. So we're dealing with terrorists willing to redirect an asteroid to make their point. This suggests access to significant technology and resources, not just a fringe group. Kyla nodded. The message confirms what we suspected. The asteroid was deliberately redirected, but only a few Xeraxians would have both the technological knowledge and the extremist views to attempt this. Do you have suspects? Ethan asked. Kyla hesitated. Several former scientists from our advanced propulsion laboratory disappeared 2 cycles ago. They had expressed purist sympathies before vanishing. She looked troubled. I knew one of them. We trained together before I chose the diplomatic path, and he chose science. Captain Wilson turned to her navigation officer. How long until we reach the asteroid? Just under 70 hours, Mom. The officer replied. We're maintaining maximum safe speed, and how long until impact after that? Approximately 20 hours. If we can alter its course. The captain nodded. That gives us less than a day to examine the asteroid and determine how to stop it. Once we arrive, we need to send a team to the surface immediately. I'll go. Ethan volunteered again. My mining experience might help us place explosives if needed. Kyla immediately stood. I will accompany him. My knowledge of Xeraxian technology may be crucial if the purists left any devices behind. Captain Wilson considered this, then agreed. Prepare your equipment. We can't risk failure. As the meeting dispersed, Ethan noticed Kyla remaining behind, staring at the frozen image of the hooded figure. You recognized the voice, didn't you? He said quietly when they were alone. All 6 of her eyes turned to him, filled with what he now recognized as sorrow. Yes, she admitted. It was Nenvar. My marking sibling from childhood. We underwent the rite of adulthood together. She touched the lightning pattern on her back. This connection we share. He was brilliant, but troubled, always searching for meaning in the old ways. Why would he target a colony with your other marking siblings? Ethan asked. Kyla's voice became hollow. He believes they betrayed our heritage by embracing alien influence, and I betrayed him by becoming a diplomat promoting cooperation between our species. She looked down at her marked hands. In his mind, this is justice. The next 2 days passed in tense preparation. The engineering team assembled equipment for examining the asteroid and potentially altering its course. Ethan and Kyla spent hours reviewing geological survey techniques and explosive placement strategies. You should rest, Ethan told her on the night before their arrival, noticing how her skin had paled further with exhaustion. Kyla shook her head. My people need only brief regeneration cycles, she insisted. But her voice lacked conviction. Ethan recognized the signs of stress regardless of species. The slight tremor in her hands, the dulling of her normally vibrant blue skin. I need you at your best when we reach that asteroid, he said firmly. If this Nenvar is as brilliant as you say, well, need all our wits about us. She finally relented, Retreating to her quarters, Ethan tried to rest as well, but found himself staring at the ceiling, thinking about the colony about to be destroyed. 3,000 lives hanging in the balance because of extremist ideology. It seemed incomprehensible. The Northern Star reached the asteroid exactly as scheduled, Captain Wilson ordered, the ship into a parallel orbit, maintaining a safe distance while scanning the surface. They detected an unusual structure on the far side of the massive rock that shouldn't be there. Elena Foster said, pointing to the readout. It's artificial. Some kind of installation. Can we get closer? Ethan asked. The captain shook her head. Sensors are picking up unusual energy fluctuations. Too risky to approach with the ship. We'll send the shuttle as planned. You and Kyla will investigate. An hour later, Ethan found himself in a shuttlecraft with Kyla and 2 security officers approaching the asteroid. The small craft maneuvered carefully around the rotating mass until the installation came into view. It was clearly Xeraxian in design, angular and efficient, with a metallic blue sheen that reflected the distant starlight. This confirms our suspicions, Kyla said. Her voice was steady, but Ethan noticed she was gripping the edge of her seat tightly. The purists built this to alter the asteroid's trajectory. Shuttle pilot found a flat area to land approximately 200 meters from the installation. As they donned their environmental suits, Ethan checked Kyla's equipment one final time. The suits were designed to accommodate Xeraxian physiology, with special openings for her 6 eyes and adapted gloves for her 3-fingered hands. Stay alert, Ethan warned the team. We don't know if they're still here or if they've left automated defenses. They stepped onto the asteroid surface, their magnetic boots, keeping them from drifting away in the minimal gravity. The installation loomed ahead, a dark silhouette against the star field. Their helmet lights illuminated the dusty surface as they moved forward slowly. Kyla suddenly stopped, pointing to the ground. Look. Bootprints, she said. There were others here recently. The security officers moved ahead, weapons ready, while Ethan examined the tracks with Kyla. Multiple sets, he confirmed. All heading toward the installation, they approached the structure. Cautiously, it appeared to be a large device anchored deeply into the asteroid with extending arms that disappeared into the rocky surface. No obvious entrance was visible. This is Xeraxian technology, Kyla confirmed, but modified, I'm not familiar with. This specific design. Ethan circled the structure, looking for access points or control panels. There, he said, pointing to a recessed area with what looked like an interface panel. Can you read it? Kyla moved closer, examining the symbols etched into the metal. This is old script, she said. Religious text, not scientific. Our ancient ways. She pressed her 3-fingered hand against the panel, and the surface lit up with flowing Xeraxian script. A deep humming vibration began to move through the asteroid. Beneath their feet? What did you do? Ethan asked, alarmed. Nothing, Kyla said. I only touched it. The system recognized my biosignature. A section of the installation slid open, revealing a dark interior. The security officers raised their weapons, but Kyla gestured for them to wait. Nenvar would have left a message for me, she explained. He would want me to understand why he did this. Ethan hesitated, torn between caution and trust. Well, go in together, he decided. But stay alert. The interior was surprisingly spacious, a single room filled with equipment. The walls displayed holographic calculations and schematics, showing the asteroid's redirected path. At the center stood a pillar with another control panel illuminated in blue light. As they approached, a recording activated. A Xeraxian appeared before them, unhooded this time. Tall, with elaborate markings covering most of his visible blue skin, Ethan recognized the patterns Kyla had described. Branching lightning similar to her own. Kyla, he spoke, in Xeraxian, but their suits translated. By now you understand what we have done. The colony must be cleansed. Those who corrupt our ways, who wear the marks of aliens, must face judgment. Kyla stepped forward. Nenvar. This is madness. 3,000 innocent lives. The recording continued, as if anticipating her response. There is a way to save them, sister of my marking. The asteroid can be diverted again, but only if you make the right choice. The hologram gestured to the control panel. Before you are 2 options. Divert the asteroid away from the colony or toward the human station horizon. Choose your true people. Kyla. Prove your loyalty to our heritage. The recording ended, leaving them in stunned silence. He can't be serious, Ethan said. But the schematics on the wall confirmed it. The control panel was connected to thrusters that could indeed alter the asteroid's course again, either away from the Xeraxian colony or toward the human space station. It's a trap. Elena Foster said we should report back to the ship. Ethan watched as Kyla examined the control panel. Her 6 eyes focused intensely on the Xeraxian interface. Her 3-fingered hands moved across the glowing surface with practiced precision. Despite the bulky environmental suit she maintained, the grace that characterized her species, the security officers kept their weapons ready, scanning the installation for any hidden threats. Elena Foster spoke quietly into her communication device, updating Captain Wilson on their discovery. We have a situation, she reported. The purists have left a trap forcing a choice between saving the colony or saving Horizon Station. Kyla ignored the conversation, her attention fully on the system before her. The interface is locked, she said finally. 2 predetermined trajectories have been programmed. Either divert away from the colony or toward your station. No other options are accessible. Can you override it? Ethan asked. She shook her head. Nenvar was always brilliant with security protocols, locked out of the deeper programming, she admitted. This panel only allows the binary choice he designed. What about physically disabling it? Elena suggested. We could use explosives to destroy the entire installation. Kyla turned sharply. That would destabilize the thrusters already embedded throughout the asteroid. They could detonate prematurely or fail catastrophically. Either way, we lose control completely. Ethan studied the schematics displayed on the wall. They showed the complete system. Multiple thrusters, strategically placed around the asteroid connected to this central control hub. Nenvar had been thorough. We need to think differently, he said. This whole setup was designed by someone who knows you, Kyla. He expects you to either choose your people or try to hack the system. Kyla nodded, her blue skin paling in the harsh light of their helmet lamps. He understands how I think. We studied together, trained together. Ethan continued. That means the solution can't be technological. He wants this to be about loyalty, about identity, about the very thing the purists are fighting for, cultural purity versus cooperation. The marking, Kyla said suddenly. Her voice carried a new urgency. Look at the edge of the control panel. Ethan examined the area she indicated. There was a small depression in the shape of a Xeraxian hand. But unlike standard interfaces, this one had raised patterns etched into it. Patterns that looked familiar. It's a marking scanner, she explained. Designed to read the patterns on a Xeraxian hand, specifically Ethan. These match the diplomatic markings I showed you earlier. The ones that incorporate human mathematical symbols. Understanding dawned on him. It's testing for the very thing the purists hate. Markings that show alien influence. Exactly, Kyla confirmed. This isn't just about choosing which trajectory to select, it's about proving my choice physically. The system will read my markings to confirm my loyalty. Elena Foster stepped closer. If the system detects your diplomatic markings with human elements, it will assume I'm choosing humanity and divert toward Horizon. Kyla finished. It reads my body as a statement of allegiance. But you can't remove your markings. Ethan said. They're permanent. Kyla looked down at her hands, visible through the transparent material of her environmental gloves. The intricate patterns that showed her life experiences, her accomplishments, her identity, including the diplomatic markings that incorporated human mathematical symbols. I need to think, she said, moving away from the control panel to stand before the holographic display of the asteroid's path. The countdown timer showed less than 19 hours until impact with the colony. Her people, her marking siblings, thousands of lives. Ethan approached her carefully. We should report back to the ship, he suggested. Maybe the captain can find another solution. Kyla remained silent for long moments, then turned to him. You once asked why my people value our markings so much, she said. Her voice was calm. Now resolved, they are not just decoration or even simple records. They are our truth, who we are, what we have survived, what we believe. They cannot be hidden or denied. She looked down at her marked hands again. I cannot deny what I believe, Ethan. That our species are stronger together, that the exchange of ideas and symbols and meanings makes us both richer. Not poorer. What are you saying? Ethan asked. I will not choose as Nenvar demands. She said. She moved back to the control panel, placing her hand. Near the scanner, I will not deny my markings or what they represent. Wait, Ethan said, alarmed. What exactly are you planning? Kyla turned all 6 eyes to him. Their silver edges seemed to glow in the dim light. I need you to trust me, she said. And I need you to be ready. Before Ethan could respond, she pressed her marked hand firmly against the scanner. The panel glowed brightly, scanning the patterns on her skin. The installation hummed louder vibrations, increasing throughout the structure. A mechanical voice spoke in Xeraxian, which their suits translated. Contamination detected, alien influence confirmed, diversion toward human station initiated, no. Elena shouted, raising her weapon. Kyla held up her free hand. Stop, she commanded. The system is still. Processing on. The holographic display, the asteroid's trajectory began to shift, but not toward horizon. Instead, it curved away from both the colony and the station on a new path entirely. How? Ethan asked, astonished. Kyla smiled faintly, lifting her hand from the scanner. The marks that Nenvar expected to see were there, but he forgot something important, she explained. Something about me. He never understood. She turned her hand, showing the palm where new markings were visible. These I added recently. They incorporate elements of all 7 species in the Alliance, not just human. The security officers exchanged confused looks, but Ethan began to understand. The system was programmed to recognize specific patterns. Kyla continued. Human-influenced patterns which would trigger the diversion toward your station, but it wasn't programmed to recognize this combination. I overloaded its recognition. Protocols forced it to default to its emergency program. A third path, Ethan said with growing admiration. Kyla nodded. Nenvar always included fail-safes in his work. In case something went wrong, the system would default to a safe trajectory away from all inhabited areas. It's not elegant, but it worked. The asteroid will miss both targets, Elena confirmed, checking her instruments. But we still need to make sure it doesn't hit anything else and report back to the ship as they prepared to leave the installation. Ethan noticed Kyla lingering behind, studying the holographic image of Nenvar from the recording. The resemblance in their markings was clear now. They truly were connected, as she had described. He was my closest friend once, she said softly. And now he would destroy thousands to preserve what he thinks is purity. Ethan stood beside her. Sometimes, though, people closest to us are the ones who understand us least, he offered. She turned to him. That is a very Xeraxian observation, Ethan Harris. Perhaps your scar has taught you more than you realize. Back aboard the Northern Star, Captain Wilson received their report with visible relief, but her expression quickly turned serious again. We have a new problem, she said. Our sensors have detected a ship hiding in the asteroid's debris field. Xeraxian design, heavily armed. They're still here. Kyla said. They were watching. Waiting to see my choice. The captain nodded. They've scanned us and know we're aware of them. They're moving to intercept. Ethan looked at Kyla. Her expression was unreadable, but he had learned enough about Xeraxian physiology to recognize tension in the way she held herself. Can we outrun them, he asked. Not while maintaining our current position near the asteroid, Wilson answered. And we can't leave until we're certain the new trajectory is stable. We're effectively pinned down. Open a communication channel, Kyla requested suddenly. I want to speak with them. The captain hesitated, then nodded to her communications officer. The main screen flickered, then showed the interior of a Xeraxian vessel. Standing center frame was Nenvar. His tall blue form, covered in elaborate markings, his 6 eyes focused intently on Kyla. You disappointed me, sister, he said. His translator conveyed the cold tone perfectly. You chose the humans, I chose life. Kyla replied, for all I rejected your false choice. Nenvar's eyes narrowed. You think you've won, but this is only the beginning. The purist movement grows stronger each cycle. More of our people recognize the contamination of alien influence. This colony may survive today, but others will face cleansing. Ethan stepped forward to stand beside Kyla. Why are you still here? He asked. If your plan failed, why not escape? Nenvar regarded him with what appeared to be curiosity. The human who bears his survival openly, he observed. A strange one. Indeed. We remain human because the work is not finished. What does that mean? Kyla demanded. The Northern Star's tactical officer interrupted Captain Im, detecting energy buildups in the asteroid's core. The installation is still active. Nenvar made a sound that the translator didn't convert, but Ethan recognized as Xeraxian laughter. Did you think I would plan so carefully and leave only one option for failure? He said. The asteroid itself has been seeded with reactants. Once triggered, they will shatter it into thousands of pieces, creating a debris field that will strike both the colony and your station. Captain Wilson signaled to cut the transmission. I want options now, she demanded. The tactical officer looked grim. The energy readings are increasing rapidly. The reaction has begun. We have less than 30 minutes before the asteroid fractures. We need to destroy it completely, Elena said, before it breaks apart. Not after. The captain turned to her weapons officer. Do we have anything that could vaporize an asteroid that size? No, Mom, not with certainty. And the purest ship is moving to block our weapons trajectory. Captain Maya Wilson stared at the tactical display with growing concern. The asteroid was showing increasing signs of instability. Energy readings spiked across its surface as the hidden reactants began their deadly work. Meanwhile, the Xeraxian purist vessel maintained its position, blocking any clean shot the Northern Star might have. So our options are what? Wilson asked grimly. Let the asteroid fracture, creating a deadly debris field that hits both targets, or find a way to convince fanatical purists to sacrifice themselves. Neither seems likely. Kyla stood motionless, her 6 eyes fixed on the image of the enemy vessel. I need to speak with Nenvar again, she said. Finally, one last time. The captain hesitated, then nodded to her communications. Officer re-established contact. Nenvar's face appeared on the screen again. His expression showed what Ethan now recognized as Xeraxian satisfaction. The subtle brightening of the skin around his eye, ridges, the slight tilt of his head. You realize your defeat now, sister of my marking, Nenvar said. Kyla stepped forward. I understand your plan, yes, she acknowledged. But I don't understand you anymore, Nenvar. When did preservation of our culture come to mean destruction of our people? The asteroid will cleanse the contamination, he replied. Our species will survive stronger, purer. 3,000 of our kind will die, Kyla countered. Her voice remained level, but Ethan could see the tension in her posture, including those who shared our marking ceremony, those who watched us grow, those who taught us. They chose their path, Nenvar said dismissively. As did you, Kyla replied. And what will your marking show now, Nenvar? What story will your body tell? The one who destroyed his own marking siblings, the one who became what he claimed to fight against. Nenvar's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? You speak of alien contamination, but look at what you've become. Kyla gestured to the tactical display. The destruction of innocent lives for ideological purity. That is not our way. That has never been our way. That is the worst kind of alien influence, the adoption of extremism that our ancestors rejected millennia ago. For a moment, Nenvar seemed taken aback. The patterns on his blue skin pulsed slightly in what Ethan recognized as emotional response. Your markings tell your story. Kyla continued, her voice softer now. But what story is this, Nenvar? The hero of cultural preservation, or the destroyer of everything our markings truly represent? Enough. Nenvar snapped. This is manipulation, is it? Kyla asked. Or is it truth? When we received our first markings together, what did the elder say to us? Do you remember? Silence stretched between them. Ethan glanced at the countdown timer. 23 minutes until catastrophic fragmentation of the asteroid. The Northern Star's crew waited tensely watching the exchange. Finally, Nenvar spoke. The marks we bear are not symbols of division, but of unity. Not records of hatred, but of growth, he recited. The words coming reluctantly, Kyla nodded. Each marking connects us to those who came before and those who will follow. She continued. Each scar, each line, each dot tells not just our story, but the story of all Xeraxians. Our shared journey. Nenvar looked away, his 6 eyes focusing on something off-screen. The reaction has already begun, he said finally. It cannot be stopped. It can be contained, Kyla insisted. Your ship carries fusion charges powerful enough to completely destroy the asteroid rather than fracture it. You know this. Ask me to sacrifice my vessel. My crew. Nenvar asked, his voice hardening again. Captain Wilson stepped forward. My ship will rescue your crew, she offered. We can transport them aboard, before detonation. Nenvar made a dismissive gesture. Do you think I would trust humans? Your quarrel is with the idea of cultural contamination. Ethan interjected, not with individuals. If your goal is truly to protect Xeraxian culture, then protect Xeraxian lives. Save the colony while you still can. The tactical officer leaned toward Captain Wilson. 17 minutes, Mom, she whispered. The reaction is accelerating. Nenvar remained silent, his eyes now fixed on Kyla. Once we were closest among our marking siblings, he said finally, do you remember the great storm, the one that gave you those marks? He gestured to the circular patterns across her cheekbones. I remember, Kyla said softly. You pulled me from the flooding chamber. You risked yourself to save me. And now you ask me to save those who have betrayed our heritage. Kyla stepped closer to the screen. I ask you to be who you truly are. Not who fear has made you become the marking on your chest, she said, pointing to an elaborate spiral pattern near his heart. What does it represent? Nenvar touched it reflexively. It marks my oath as a scientist to seek truth above all else. And is this truth? Kyla pressed gently. Destruction of your own kind. Is that the legacy you wish your markings to tell? The asteroid shuddered visibly on the tactical display. Fragments began to break. From its surface, the ship's sensors recorded each new energy spike. 12 minutes, Mom. The tactical officer reported. Nenvar turned away from the screen, conferring with someone off-screen. Ethan held his breath, watching Kyla's face. Her blue skin had paled considerably, but her posture remained straight, resolved. The purist leader turned back to them. My vessel carries 16 crew. He said they will require transport, Captain. Wilson nodded immediately. Prepare for emergency transport, she ordered. Her crew. Nenvar looked directly at Kyla one last time. Remember me as I was sister, he said. Not as what I became. The screen went dark. Transport complete, the operations officer reported moments later. 16 Xeraxian life signs detected in cargo bay. 3 on the tactical display. The purist vessel moved away from its blocking position, approaching the asteroid directly. Its engines flared as it accelerated, driving straight toward the asteroids. Unstable core brace for shockwave. Captain Wilson ordered all hands secure stations. Ethan and Kyla stood side by side, watching the screen. The Xeraxian ship disappeared into a large fissure in the asteroid's surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a blinding flash erupted from within the massive rock. The asteroid didn't fragment as planned. Instead, it disintegrated completely, vaporized by the concentrated fusion energy. The Northern Star shuddered as the shockwave hit, but the ship's shields held. The tactical display cleared, showing empty space where the asteroid had been. Only a diffuse cloud of particles remained, none large enough to threaten either the human station or the Xeraxian colony. He did it, Ethan said quietly. He saved them all. Kyla stood motionless, her 6 eyes fixed on the dissipating cloud. One of her 3-fingered hands moved to touch the marking on her back, the branching lightning pattern that connected her to Nenvar. He chose truth. In the end, she whispered. In the days that followed, the crew of the Northern Star completed their mission, delivering the surviving purists to Xeraxian authorities and confirming the safety of the colony. The purist movement lost considerable support when the full story emerged. How their leader had ultimately sacrificed himself to save the very people he had threatened. Ethan found Kyla in the observation lounge as they approached Horizon Station for docking. She stood before the large viewport watching the stars, her blue skin having regained its vibrant color. Her reflection showed all six eyes open but unfocused. "Are you all right?" he asked, joining her. She turned, slightly acknowledging his presence. "I have been thinking about markings," she said. "About how they tell our stories." Ethan waited, giving her space. "To continue among my people," she said, "there is a tradition. When one undergoes a profound experience that changes them completely, they receive a new marking, a transformation mark. Few earn these, they are rare and honored." She held out her arm where a blank space remained unmarked among the patterns. "What happened with Nenvar, with the asteroid, with the colony? It changed me. It showed me that even those most committed to division can find unity." In the end, Ethan nodded, understanding. "I think it changed me too," he said, touching his own scar. "I've always seen this as just something that happened to me. Now I see it differently. It marks a beginning, not an end." When they docked at Horizon, Kyla was met by the Xeraxian delegation. Elder Varric approached, her bowing deeply in the formal manner. "Your actions have saved many lives," he said, "and taught us all an important lesson about true strength. Your markings honor us." "Thank you," Elder Kyla replied. "But I did not act alone." She gestured to Ethan and the crew of the Northern Star together. "We found a path that seemed impossible." Later that evening, as the formal reception celebrating the mission's success wound down, Kyla sought out Ethan. He stood apart from the crowd, watching the interactions between humans and Xeraxians with newfound appreciation. "I leave tomorrow," she said. She seemed hesitant, unusual for her normally decisive nature. "My duties require my return to the Xeraxian homeworld." Ethan nodded, trying to hide his disappointment. "Will you come back?" Kyla tilted her head in that distinctively Xeraxian way. "The diplomatic exchange program continues," she said, "and I have requested permanent assignment as liaison to Horizon Station." Her six eyes focused on him intently. "There is still much for our peoples to learn from each other." Ethan smiled, touching his scar unconsciously. "I think you're right." Kyla reached forward with her three-fingered hand hovering near his face. "May I?" she asked. He nodded, and she traced the line of his scar again, as she had that first day. "This mark began our story," she said softly. "My people have a saying. A shared journey leaves matching footprints. I like that," Ethan said. "Tomorrow, before I depart," Kyla continued, "I will receive my transformation mark. It will tell the story of what happened with the asteroid, of loss and choice and finding another way.